Hi everyone, this is Long Vo. Today I'm analyzing one of my games against my cell phone. So today is June 20th, 2012. I'm playing my cell phone and the program is ChessAnywhere Level 9, which is the highest level. Normally my phone beats me, but for some reason today it's not playing well, or I'm getting better. Anyways, I'm playing white and it's playing black. So I go e4, it goes c6. So I take control of the center with d4, and it goes d5, challenging the center. So this is the Caro-Kann. I developed the knight to c3. So d takes e, knight takes e4. Then he goes bishop to f5, attacking my knight. So now I defend with bishop to d3, and at this point I didn't realize that my d pawn was hanging. So he took with the queen, takes a d4, and there's a double attack on my knight. So I only have one defender and he has two attackers. But I looked at the position carefully, and I figured out that if I simply developed my knight to f3, I would be attacking the queen, and he wouldn't take with the bishop right away, because I would simply take the queen, and obviously he wouldn't take with the queen, because then you're just sacrificing your queen for no compensation. So he goes queen to d5, still maintaining that pressure on the knight. So I go knight to c3, attacking the queen. So at this point I feel that I'm better developed, because I have three minor pieces out and he only has one major piece and one minor piece developed. And both my my bishops can be active, while his bishop here is still blocked with the pawns. So the queen retreats to a5, pinning the knight. So I go bishop to f4. So I could have gone bishop to e3 and stay protected by the pawn here, but I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive, and the bishop on f4 is more central, so it controls more squares, and also I didn't want to block off this file, because it's both of my D and E files are open. So the goal was to later develop the rooks on those semi-open files. And I knew also that every time the bishop goes to f4 here, it's undefended. So there's always some possible tactics against it, and especially when the queen is out. But I think that's something that I was willing to deal with later. So he goes bishop takes d3. So that works out for me as well, because he just removed one of my developed pieces, and he's going to help me develop my queen. And now queen takes d3, and if you count the development, he only has one piece developed, whereas I have four pieces developed. So I think I have a huge lead in development. And one more move and I will finish my development, whereas he's really behind. So he goes queen to b4, attacking the bishop here and also the pawn. So now I decided that development at this point is very important to me, because once my pieces are developed, I could really attack. So I decided that I'm going to exchange the bishop for the knight here. So bishop takes b8. And my reasoning is because I'm still ahead in development, and the goal is to prevent his king from castling queenside. So obviously when he takes with the rook takes b8, he can no longer castle on that side, and that way I can restrict his castling. And because the bishop took the knight and he had to take back, then I can castle queenside, defending the b2 pawn. So I castled, and also now the rook is supporting the queen for a checkmate threat here, and so he went knight to f6, defending the d7 square. So I knew that I had to find a way to perhaps remove this defender here, so that I could deliver checkmate. So before that though, I wanted to exert more pressure towards the center, because that was my initial idea, and this really concentrates all my forces in the center, because it would take him at least 3 moves to complete development. So here he goes queen to b6, and so I thought he wanted really to keep his queen close to the king for to defend, which I think is a good move. And I go knight to g5. So I thought about going knight to e5, but then I didn't like the idea of blocking off that semi-open file. And I also thought about later on coming here and attacking the rook and creating some sort of an exchange, but I didn't do that because I found that was kind of too straightforward, and the goal with the knight going to g5 here is I still have some attacking power here, and also I can go here to distract the knight somehow. Okay, and so then he plays f2, which I found was a really bad move, because I think the queen needs to be close to the king for defense, and taking the f2 pawn is irrelevant at this point because you're under attack, right? And he actually helped me, because now I simply go knight to e4, forking the queen and the knight. And I knew that he couldn't take with the knight, or else it's checkmate. So now I gain a tempo, right? So the queen has to go somewhere, and he delivers check on f4. So I simply retreat the king to b1, and so now his knight goes to d5, blocking my queen. And so this was obvious to me, that knight had to go. So knight takes d5, and c takes d5, and then queen takes d5. So now I'm really happy with this position, because now it's becoming really open, and then now my knight can start bothering the king, and he still has to worry about this checkmate threat. So he opens up one diagonal for the king to escape. He goes f6. So I don't think he had any other choices at this point. And I didn't want to give him any chances to complete development. So I went knight to d6 check, knowing that the e pawn is pinned to the king, so he couldn't take. So the knight also controls the f7 square now. So there's only one move, well, two moves, so either d7 or d8. And so at this point, once he goes to either square, I could deliver a check here and win the rook. But I wasn't really interested in doing that because I have a huge lead in development and all my pieces are targeting the king, and I think I didn't really calculate that far, but I felt that I had a chance to finish the game here. So he goes king to d7, avoiding the fork there. Well, it would have been a double, a discovered attack anyways, winning the rook if I wanted to, but anyways, he decided to go king to d7. So I go knight to b5 check. So the knight here controls the c7 square. So the queen controls the c6 square, and if he goes to c8, then it's checkmate. And if he goes, well, he only has that one choice. So he goes back to e8, and I wanted to maintain the queen there for to cut off that f7 square and slowly control all the squares around the king and somehow deliver a checkmate. So I improve my queen's position with queen to e6. I thought that was a good move because now this d file is still close to him, and so my goal here was to probably go the knight here and then force him to exchange with the queen, because at this point there's not many more squares for the king to go to, and he's starting to feel a lot of pressure. So he goes rook to d8, so defending the d6 square. So that doesn't stop me. So knight goes to d6, knowing that if he so this pawn is pinned, so he can't take. So if he takes with rook to d6, which he has to do, there's no other choice because the king can't go anywhere, then he's exchanging a rook for a knight. So I go rook takes d6, and also the pawn is still pinned, and if he does take with the queen, then I would simply take back with my queen, and that pawn remains pinned, so then I would get the queen. So he goes pawn to a5, and now I doubled the rooks, so rook to d1, with the idea of delivering checkmate on the next move. So at this point there's nothing else he can do. He has to defend with the queen. Queen takes d6, rook takes d6, so now I'm up in material, and it's simply a matter of time before I checkmate him. The bishop is totally useless. The queen is blocking this pawn from developing, and developing this side, you know, there's no real point here because it's just too slow. And if the king moves here, then I can come down with a delivering check and exert a lot of pressure, and then it's simply a matter of time before I checkmate him. So the rook is also totally useless. So I think it's really important to develop your pieces properly, and I found that he developed his queen a little bit too early. So I think that's what happened. I gained a couple of temples, and just a couple of bad exchanges to help me develop actually. So he goes a4, and I think there's no other moves right here for him. So I simply go rook to d7 with the idea of later on coming rook to c7 and then delivering checkmate here. So he goes b5, and I go rook to b7. So I could have gone to any of these squares here, but I went there just to exert pressure on the pawns if for some reason I needed it to defend. So then he goes rook to g8 with a last desperate attempt to tempt the queen off the diagonal here, and I mean off the d7 square, because the next move would be checkmate. So I go rook to b8, checkmate, and there's nothing he can do because my queen is also controlling the d7 square. So his move here was his last desperate attempt to distract the queen. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something, and so I had a good game here, and hopefully from now on I'll keep defeating the computer.